it's Byrd, and for today's modeling tip we're going to be talking about the S-curve. The S-curve is probably the most prominent and most important pose you're going to learn as a model. It's very important that you get yourself a full-size mirror and practice your S poses in the mirror, as well as have somebody take some snapshots of you in various poses and try to define your S. Now how it's developed is you use your head, shoulders, your waist, your hips, and your knees to help you develop an S-curve. So let's go through some poses here and let's kind of break down the S's in these poses. This young lady right here has got her head slightly tipped, her shoulders at a varied angle, one higher, one lower, and it creates the start of our S. Through her chest down to her hips, it centers up, and then with her lower hips she's able to hip out just slightly to bring the S back around and to her knees. This next one's a very prominent picture. She's centered in the photo, but you'll notice she's done the same thing. She's raised that one shoulder, dropped the other one, and tipped her head off to the one side, creating that side of the S, bringing it down through her chest, hipping out with her leg, putting all of her weight onto her strong side, finishing up that S all the way down through her knees. As we go through the rest of these photos, you're going to find there's some very prominent S's and very subtle S's. This is more of a prominent S. You'll notice that she's dropped her shoulder all the way back and brought her head down, sunk her hips out, down and forward so that she really brings out in a dramatic S, and then took that leg all the way back to create the end of that S pose. In this one it's very subtle. As you notice, her head is tipped, creating most of the top of the S shape. Her body's in a fairly straight line with her hips out forward just enough that her legs bring back the end of the S. This one here actually goes beyond a simple S. By turning her head away, she creates a start of an angle outside, brings it back across her chest, down through her stomach area, and then by using her hips and bringing her knee up, she actually creates the end of it. So it goes beyond an S-curve, and it's a very dramatic shot. This shot here would be a fantastic cover shot. You'll notice even though she's laying down on the ground, she's able to use her head to start out a level plane. Her shoulders start to create the turn of the S, and then through her hips and her legs going out to the side finishes out the S. It's a beautiful picture. This next one's a fairly straight up, simple S curve. Her head's straight, squared up with the camera. Her shoulders are dropped, one side raised, one side lowered. Runs out to the strong hip side with all of her weight down on one leg, and it brings it straight back down to the bottom of the S. Once more, another very strong S. You'll notice by tipping her head and raising her shoulders, she creates that good line down to her chest. Her body then hips out through the middle, and she hips out to one side, putting all of her weight onto one leg once again, creating the end of the S. This one once again is another very strong one. By using her leg, straighten out the bottom of the S, and with her head she's able to turn away and drop down towards the shoulder, creating the start of the S. So we have the S coming down the face, through the chest, straightening up through the hips, and then the leg extended out finishes out the bottom of the S. You could do an S-curve even while you're laying down. You'll notice this young lady's laying down, but by turning her hips completely around, she straightens up the center of her body, tipping her head away, she creates the bottom of the S. So her knee being out starts the top of the S, coming down through the body that straightens out, and with her head tipped and turned away, looking away, she's finished out the bottom of the S. And it's a nice well-rounded picture all around. That's a very dramatic shot right there. And one final one right here. This is another one while you're laying down. By turning her face away, keeping her body nice and straight with the camera, making a horizontal plane, and then turning her knees back out the opposite direction of her face, she's able to complete a very solid S. Well, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you're working on your S poses. It's probably the most prominent and most commonly used pose in photography. Keep those strong hips, strong shoulders, good eye contact, Practice it in a mirror, get some snapshots, draw the S right on top of your photos so that you can see what your S looks like. If it's a smooth, consistent S, or if it's very jarred and jerky and it's kind of a jumble, if it looks uncomfortable. Smooth is elegant. Smooth is elegant. Elegant makes great pictures. So make sure that you're working on that. If you're ever in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, look me up, Byrd. You can email me at jbirdphoto@outlook.com. That's jbirdphoto@outlook.com. Keep shooting, have a good time, and talk to you soon.